Доброе утро, уважаемые гости, коллеги. Вижу, что сегодня собрались, наверное, профессионалы рынка, которым искренне не безразлична судьба индустрии ритейла в целом. Рада вас приветствовать. Спасибо, что вы сегодня нашли время к нам присоединиться на наш семинар ADG Talks «Мировые тренды ритейла». И, в частности, мы осветим тему новых гибких форматов. Ну, ни для кого не секрет, что в последнее время в индустрии ритейла происходят некоторые трансформации. В первую очередь, обороты розничной торговли, наверное, показывали не самые лучшие показатели. В 2015 году оборот снизился на 10%, в 2016 году еще на 5%. Но это все происходит на фоне качественных изменений поведения потребителей, которые, в свою очередь, создают предпосылки для изменений наши с вами, как ритейла и девелоперов, форматы, в которых будет развиваться рынок. Что касается международного опыта, в Азии, Америке, новый потребитель, так называемый, это уже данность. И именно там можно посмотреть интересные кейсы, которые, в свою очередь, можно и нужно реализовывать, наверное, на нашем российском рынке, при этом не обязательно инвестируя достаточно большие средства. Уверена, что каждый из вас, сегодня присутствующих в зале, наверное, уже не понаслышке слышал про проект ADG Group сети районных центров, который запускается в 2018 и 2019 годах. С кем-то из вас мы находимся в достаточно глубокой стадии переговоров и финализации сделок, а кто-то из вас, наверное, еще сомневается и ждет развития событий. Но, кстати, о событиях. Что у нас происходит? В понедельник мы анонсировали достаточно важную и интересную в истории нашего проекта сделку. Это якорный оператор кинотеатра, который станет компания, с которой мы сделали партнерство. Это компания пятая в мире, которая называется CJCGV из Кореи. Это мировой лидер, который стал нашим партнером и откроет свои кинотеатры в нашем проекте в 2018-2019 годах. Когда вся сеть заработает, фактически эта сеть станет номер один по количеству локаций и номер два по количеству кинозалов на рынке Москвы. Это большое событие для рынка киноиндустрии в целом. Ну а для нас, как для девелопера, это значит, что такого уровня арендаторы инновационные, прогрессивные выбирают нас. И именно таких других партнеров, не только якорных, но и не менее важных для нас, с таким подходом мы ожидаем видеть в проекте. Именно поэтому мы сегодня собрались здесь на семинаре для того, чтобы поговорить о тех инновациях, почему они должны появляться, какие предпосылки для них есть, для того, чтобы выработать вместе с вами новые подходы. И, как вы знаете, мы, как девелопер, создаем уже не просто проект 2,5, проект, который не просто про квадратные метры. Мы создаем проект про 2,5 миллиона человек, которые наша аудитория. Мы предлагаем, в первую очередь, трафик людей, который состоит фактически из каждого пятого москвича. Именно поэтому мы считаем наш проект не совсем стандартный, понятный, возможно, как будто на рынке сегодня. Мы хотим создать тот проект, аналогов которому еще нет. Ну и наш диалог я хочу предложить построить следующим образом. Вначале мы поговорим о предпосылках изменений ритейла. Все начинается с потребителя. И именно эту тему я хотела бы осветить. Далее я передам слово нашему уважаемому международному эксперту, который поделится конкретными кейсами, как ритейл отвечает на вызовы рынка. И, наконец, в третьей части мы будем рады, мы активно вас призываем записывать вопросы и задавать их нам в конце мероприятия. Итак, Jan, I would like to introduce you as our retail expert, and Jan Hеере used to be a very famous CEO of Inditex Russia, и он был, извините, перейду на русский. Ян Хеере был генеральным менеджером компании Inditex в России и директором по международному развитию Marks & Spencer. Ян расскажет как раз про конкретные кейсы. Ну а я хочу начать свой блог с изменением поведения потребителей. И вместо того, чтобы уходить в грустную, скучную статистику, цифр и фактов, почему так происходит, я хотела бы начать с небольшого видео, которое, наверное, наилучшим способом покажет суть, какой сегодня новый потребитель.
Really?
Really?
Вот что происходит на самом деле. Страшный новый потребитель, который, с одной стороны, удивляет, вернее, уже, наверное, не удивляет, все сидят в телефонах. Но это видео не про то, да, что случилось с нами, а про те ценности, на самом деле, которые можно собрать на один слайд и проанализировать для себя, как для ритейла и девелоперов, что же с этими новыми ценностями людей делать. Первое и важное, чем мы с вами начали дорожить, это наше время. Оно раньше было дорогое, а сегодня, с учетом трафика, пробок, оно становится все более дорогим, и мы поэтому хотим тратить его намного более рационально. Мы хотим покупать рядом, мы хотим удобных покупок, мы хотим быстрого шопинга. Второе и важное, не менее важное, это опыт впечатлений. Если раньше мы ходили в магазины для того, чтобы просто купить, и на этом, наверное, цель нашего похода заканчивалась, сегодня мы ходим для того, в том числе, чтобы получить опыт. Наш покупательский опыт мы хотим расширять. И тем больше мы готовы тратить тем в тех местах, где этот опыт намного интереснее. Что касается нашего общения, покупатель хочет, чтобы мы с ним говорили на одном языке, что он требует персональных коммуникаций, он требует персональных товаров, он хочет, чтобы мы знали про него все и общались с ним когда удобно, где удобно и на том языке, на котором ему удобно. Ну и, наконец, наш покупатель стал фактически кочевником. Он не только покупает в онлайне, он покупает в том числе в офлайне. Сегодня мы выбрали какую-то блузку в магазине, а завтра заказали ее в онлайне и нам привезли ее в офис. Или обратная история, мы пришли в магазине, посмотрели какой-нибудь прекрасный холодильник, вернулись домой, нашли лучшую цену и уже купили там. Поэтому у ритейлеров возникают омниканальные стратегии, без которых, наверное, наше светлое, я надеюсь, исключительно светлое будущее, наверное, уже не может быть. Поэтому мы смотрим, как эти ценности отражаются в форматах физических, а не только у ритейла. Если раньше в сегменте люкса сложно было себе представить магазин, помимо какой-то флагманской улицы на ключевых торговых коридорах. Сегодня мы понимаем, что в формате поп-ап даже самый люксовый бренд может открыть киоск и таким образом представить новый товар, сделать его промо или продажу. И зачастую даже непонятно, это вообще бренд или конкретный, который здесь нарисован, Шанель, или это вообще цветочный магазин. Что касается прекрасного мебельного рынка. Раньше мы тратили время для того, чтобы добраться до огромных коробок, посмотреть весь ассортимент, посидеть, проверить качество, оценить все материалы, которые есть. А что происходит сегодня? Для того, чтобы быть ближе к своему потребителю, ритейл начинает думать о шоурумах, в которых возможно представить образцы товаров, типы мебели, типы дерева, которые используются, или типа материалов. И для этого открываются мини-форматы 100-300 метров. Это касается не таких уникальных ритейлеров только, как, например, из Англии Made.com, но и больших коробок, которые уже сейчас имеют большое количество кейсов, открытых мини-форматов на ключевых торговых коридорах, а не только за пределами центра города. Ну а что касается pure online players, которые раньше были только в интернете, они тоже понимают, что только там их существования не должно быть. Они находят способы физических форматов с продуманным ассортиментом в правильных местах, чтобы таким образом создавать омниканальный опыт для своего клиента. Ну, а что касается таких атмосферных магазинов, казалось бы, раньше магазин товаров для йоги, где можно купить одежду, соответствующие коврики, аксессуары, сегодня превращается из просто магазина в некий клуб, в котором можно прийти, встретиться с единомышленниками, выпить правильных зожевских напитков, ну и как минимум как максимум прийти на целое занятие по йоге. Таким образом, ритейл переходит из обычного формата в формат ритейл-теймента, и мы получаем расширенный покупательский опыт. Те, на самом деле, тренды, которые я показала, они уже для кого-то очевидны, для кого-то менее, но интересная борьба в том числе происходит не на физических форматах, а даже на каких-то сервисах, которые ритейлеры хотят сделать более удобными, более дешевыми. Война происходит в том числе на рынке доставки. Кто дешевле и быстрее привезет платье, тот и выигрывает. Поэтому для нас, как для девелоперов, это тоже интересная область изучения, как данный тренд должен быть отражен в нашем бизнесе. Все, что мы видим сегодня, в 2017 году, происходит сейчас, а начинало разрабатываться год, два, а то и 5 лет назад. Что же будет дальше, это действительно зависит от нас с вами. Чем более активна наша позиция, а не пассивно наблюдателя, тем более интересным рынок получится, и, возможно, именно трендсеттером когда-нибудь будет Россия в этом направлении. Ну а теперь интересно послушать, что же происходит на международном рынке со слов Яна Хеере, который непосредственно является ритейлером и готов поделиться об этом опыте, наверное, со своей стороны, которая больше вам будет понятна.
Good morning, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be with you this morning in my favorite city. I love being in Moscow. I flew overnight. I landed just a few hours ago, so I will not try my Russian. It's not going to work. Not even dobre utro. Indeed, what we saw in Anna's presentation is that a lot is happening in the industry. It's a very big disruptive moment, and I think it's interesting to have these conversations to understand what's going to happen tomorrow. I spent the last 17 years in retail. I work in over 70 markets. I remember when I started in Zara somewhere around 1999, and we were doing the schedules for the store with a pencil and a rubber, and we were thinking where to put the cash desk and the furniture. Today, it seems that everything we learned in the past is not going to be that valid for the future. So what I want to do with this session today with you is to share a bit what are the things that are affecting the industry and how we could manage that and think about the new retail formats for the future. So indeed, we live in a massive disruption in the industry. And I wanted to capture here some of the main trends of what's happening around the world. And it does says 2017, and 2017 we're almost done. But it shows that the future is really today. Today, thanks to technology, through the revolution of internet, through the big data, all these things together have enabled a very different way to approach consumer. And that means that in the future, manufacturers will probably go direct or much more direct to clients. The channels are changing, the ways of distribution are changing. Marketplaces are growing all over the place. Marketplaces like Amazon, like Alibaba. Very recently, Jack Ma was visiting Moscow. So I think it's clear that the marketplace is becoming the new place to trade, or one of the important places to trade. Another example of that is one of the biggest players worldwide in shopping centers, Westfield, which you might know maybe from the shopping centers in London or New York, now in Ground Zero. Already a few years ago started to sell their B and C assets. So the shopping centers they believed didn't have enough traffic and didn't have enough interest for consumers to drive traffic, they decided to sell them. They decided this probably 4 or 5 years ago. Today, when you look at the situation in the United States for shopping centers, you can see that these B and C shopping centers, there's probably, as we speak, over 350 malls that might close in the next 12 months because they can't sustain the traffic, they can't sustain the anchors to be present, and therefore to get the rents to make the business work. So this is completely changing the retail landscape. Footfall in the United States, we've seen it in the last reports, is the most sophisticated retail market, and footfall is declining consistently. Black Friday is already, for a couple of years, much bigger online than in physical stores. It's generating more revenues. And that's a very important number, knowing that for us in retail, we tend to do most of our sales from Black Friday to Christmas, so the period of holiday. So it's a very significant number that is changing how the industry is shifting into an e-commerce world. Another very interesting example is recently you probably heard that Amazon bought Whole Foods for a very important price, and they're already starting attacking this industry very actively, so reducing prices, starting to compete with the classic grocery stores. But it's not the first move into this segment from e-commerce. When I was living in London a few years ago, Ocado was the first pure e-commerce player in groceries. And at the time, around 2011, 2010, people didn't really believe in Ocado. It was a business model that was not generating profit, and not many brands were willing to follow that path. I was at the time in Marks and Spencer. We have a very big business in foods with Simply Foods, over £5 billion business. And we completely put aside at board level the decision to go online with groceries because it was not profitable. Today, if you look at the reports from Ocado Trading, you will see that not only they are growing at a very important pace in comparable stores, which means they are beating the market. The UK is not doing great in retail for the different reasons we know, but also they are delivering profit and they continue to grow. And now the biggest complaint from analysts for Ocado is why they are not growing that business internationally. So it's not anymore they don't believe, it's why don't you go faster and further. So this is another striking example. I was talking about the elements that influence this transformation. Obviously, big data processing is also affecting supply chain. In the past, if I take again this example from Zara, when we were opening the first stores in international markets, and I remember the case with Berlin, when we were allocating the product and thinking how much we're going to send to that store, we thought, okay, Berlin, that store is more or less the same as the one we have in Barcelona in Paseo de Gracia. And therefore, it will sell more or less this amount, so this is what we're going to allocate. This is a real example. The company was already listed and very successful. That's how we were doing allocation for the stores. Today, obviously, it works with a very complex algorithm that crunches all the data from sales, stocks, forecasting, and that gives you a very accurate allocation of product that enables you to work in a faster way and with more centralized product. This is one of the things that drove this transformation. Obviously, we see that new experiences become more and more important. Technology is also a way to play with retail, and we see a growing trend, for instance, with augmented reality or virtual reality, probably a bit more experimental today or more fun, but clearly a trend that is showing that it might be a new way of shopping in the future. So what does it mean concretely for the future? What we are observing on how it will shape our chain of stores. We see that the millennials and Generation Z are customers of tomorrow. As in Anna's video, we are all on the phone all the time, but the kids and these new generations, they communicate with the phone, they shop on the phone, is their preferred channel. So it's not the store, it's on the phone, and that's where it's happening. And that is already an element that we have to integrate because that changes the way we communicate with our consumers, the way we integrate our different channels, and where the final consumer expects to realize his purchase. So if the mobile phone is the preferred channel, what happens with all our stores? I spent 10 years at Inditex, opening stores in many markets, and we used to open Zara stores of 2,000 to 3,000 square meters. Now, if now somebody's buying on the phone, what happens to that store? And with this example, and obviously not only Zara, any format at international level, the trend will be to reduce the size of these stores. The stores don't need to be anymore a stockroom. They don't need to hold stock. It's a place for experience. It's a place to understand the product, to feel the brand. But where I'm going to shop, it will depend on where I feel at the moment. I might shop it on the phone, I might do it on the computer, maybe on a screen in a coffee shop. It will just depend on where the consumer wants to decide and make this transaction. In the past, we knew that the path for shopping was very clear. A consumer would enter a shopping center, start walking around the stores. If he's interested in fashion, would visit different stores to compare, and then purchase physically. Today, we don't know how this starts. The person might start at home, before going to work, seeing some product on his phone, say, oh, that's interesting, I like it. I will check some different prices online. Maybe nearby the office, there is a store. I go and check the product. I try it. And maybe I'll save it into my basket and purchase it 2 days later. So the journey of the consumer has really become what they call now the pretzel circuit. So it's a complex one. And therefore, we need to enable this consumer to be able to execute that purchase in any of the channels that he will prefer to do it. So new formats, it's already happening. Again, as I was saying for the trends, I was on Monday in Madrid, and if you walk the center of Madrid today, Serrano Street, one of the main streets for shopping in Madrid, or Princesa Street, you will see IKEA stores in those streets. And we know IKEA as a huge box with an amazing offer of furniture and a long way when you enter until you get to the famous meatballs and you can have something to eat. It takes you a bit. Today you can go into those stores, there is a showroom, you can see a bedroom, a living room, but it's a click and collect location. It's a small location that enables them to be in the center of a city, that enables them to be very close to consumer. And this is extremely important. Why? Because consumers today, they want convenience. This is one of the key words. They want proximity to be able to buy their things. And this is really one of the concepts that we have to integrate in the retail network. And I think this is what will play between e-commerce and physical stores, is that element of prefer terminal to browse, to understand the product, to take the decision about product, but then maybe explore even further, engage with the brand, or simply click and collect in that location. Just to give you a number, click and collect in the United Kingdom today is worth more than 6 billion pounds in volume of business. Now, this is just for click and collect, and it keeps on growing. And when you look at the UK market from an e-commerce point of view, or the United States, is what generates the trend for the rest of the retail industry. It's clearly the most advanced markets on internet. We now see China catching up very fast. We see Russia catching up very fast. I think Russia is a market that, when I was at Marks & Spencer, we did a worldwide strategy for e-commerce, and Russia just appeared in the map as a fast-growing market. Today, it's more than 10 billion retail sales generated by e-commerce in Russia, and it's a sizable market, and it continues to grow. The penetration of internet is going very fast. So what's happening in those markets is definitely very relevant for our Russian market. What I wanted to share with you in this second part of the presentation is an exercise that we did with Marks & Spencer in 2013. And we tried to understand already at the time how a small format store could work. And so I want to share with you the different steps we did to open that store, and what are the elements that were interesting and positive, and what were some of the challenges that actually with the innovation today are probably not a challenge anymore. So here you see an example of what we called Marks & Spencer e-boutique that we opened in Amsterdam, in the Kalverstraat Street. For those who've been in Amsterdam, I'm sure you've walked it. It's one of the most busy streets in Europe for retail. For many brands, it's a top 5 street, so it's really, really an important street. Not easy to find location, extremely expensive. And so the usual Marks & Spencer is 7,000 square meters. So it's quite a big box. If you've seen it in London, there's a lot of stuff going on in Marks & Spencer. Here we had a small location, 150 square meters, that we wanted for the food concept. And next to it, there were 70 square meters that we didn't need. And so discussing with the team, we thought, what can we do with the 70 square meters? And the chief executive at the time of the business said, you know what? Why don't we put some socks and some cashmere and some leggings, some of the things we sell very well in the stores, so people can buy something. And we thought it's interesting. Might not look very good to have 70 square meters with socks and underwear. So we need to give it a bit more theater. And that's how we started to think about a small location for the brand. How do we take the best of Marks & Spencer, represent it in 70 square meters, and still make it look like the brand, and make it a store that is able to sell and generate money. At the end of the day, these stores have to pay for themselves. They need to have a positive P&L. At the end, that's what the goal is with this retail business. And that's what we try to put in place. So here you see a bit the feel of the store, how it landed, but let me tell you how we started the concept. We took a space in a warehouse in London, nearby Paddington, where the head office is, and we drove 70 square meters on the floor. And we said, okay, we need to fit here 7,000 square meters. So the way to do it was we thought the product was divided in two categories. One is the famous product, is the one I was mentioning. Socks is one of the best sellers in Marks & Spencer. It's a very important category. Thermal underwear. Cashmere is a very famous product in the UK for them. So there's different hero products that are very important. And is what we call hook product. We thought somebody goes to the brand, wants to find this, and probably wants to find it and wants to be able to buy it immediately. So we need to display this. Then there's other product that we call commodity product in this case, but that will complete the offer. Whether it will be trend, whether it will be fast rotational product, and together that would be the mix of product. Some of the product we decided would be physically displayed in the store, and you can buy it. Some of the other product, it will be just one size, one color. People could try it, could go to the fitting room, see if it fits, but you can only buy it online. So we had these big iPads that you saw in the store, which, by the way, were really big iPads and heavy iPads at the time. Very, very heavy. And you could browse the full collection and decide, okay, I liked it, I buy it, I get it tomorrow for free in the store, or it gets delivered at home with a fee for the transportation. So now we have defined the product that we want to put in the store. Now we need to understand how we are going to wrap it up. How does it still look like a branded environment in 70 square meters? Obviously, it needs to fit in the brand. It needs to be loyal to the brand. And here what we do is we forget about the size as a brand definition, but we want to deliver the different elements that define the brand, as in corporate image, customer service, the quality of the product. So all together is what delivers the brand. And so we created an atmosphere that was consistent with the British heritage of the brand, but adapted to Holland, which is a very, as you probably know, a very developed from an architectural point of view country. They like style. And so we tried to make something that already fitted more in the environment of Amsterdam, with some of the best concepts in the world being present in that street. I mean, to give you an example, with this store that we went very small, we are competing in Kalverstraat with H&M in textile, who has 4 stores in the same street at the time we opened. So it's really, really competitive. Customer service is key. At the time, we believe the sales assistant is something that is really important, and that person needs to be there to tell the story about the brand, to explain the product, and to help this new way of shopping to the different technology for our customers in the country. Technology obviously is a big enabler. Without the technology, we can't make it happen. And I was saying about these very big iPads, because indeed they were heavy, very expensive, and this was worse than the size. CapEx was important because of this technology. Today, the same iPads, we could replace them with iPad Pros, and it would work the same, because the technology has evolved. So at the time, we didn't have this great technology available, but still, although it was expensive, the exercise worked. And obviously, this needs that your technology of information is also more advanced, because we needed visibility on all our stock to be able to offer the physical or whatever was not present, to see the stock available on e-commerce. This, if you build it from scratch, it's today, I would say, relatively easy to do. If you have a business that is close to 10 billion turnover, there's already some legacy system that is more complex to change. So these were some of the challenges, but that technology enabled to resolve. The other element, very important, is what's happening behind the store. Obviously, here we have a nice window. Our product is displayed. We are happy the way the store looks like. The staff is trained and motivated. How are we going to make it happen from the back? And this is a new launch in Holland. It's our first store coming back into the market. There's no other stores, there's no warehouses in the country. So we decided to fulfill from the UK, nearby London, and every day we would be shipping goods to the store using our logistics network through Europe. So the fulfillment remained in the UK. But here what is important is to manage that stock in a smart way. And at the time we use a legacy system in M&S. Today there's very sophisticated softwares that use complex algorithms, like the example I mentioned from Zara, that enable you to really follow the demand when you allocate the stock and have less risk on stock. The other element that we added into the store is that by having all this constant logistics into the store, we took the opportunity to change the product every week. It's a small store, visual merchandising was easy, not much to move around. So we try to play a bit that game of Zara, of bringing newness every week to the store and change a bit the look and feel of the store so customers would have something new to discover and they would come more often. Customer service, obviously, we need to help our customers. But I think the other element that is important here is the concept of showrooming. Your store is not only the place where you expect them to shop. And so it might be normal that they come, spend 1 hour trying clothing, checking, looking at prices, quality, and don't buy anything. But potentially you just build the transaction for people to execute that at home on their computer. And so this concept of showrooming is something that we see growing, and I come back to it in a moment, that we see growing in those markets like US or United Kingdom. Omnichannel, absolutely, and I think today we talk about seamless experience across channels. It means that the consumer has to be able, without any barrier, through one click, through one transaction, to complete his purchase. We have to make it very easy in all the touch points where the consumer is engaging with the brand and is ready to achieve that transaction. So, what are the main takings from these learnings we had as new trends and that experience we had with M&S? First, from that store, concretely, you might wonder, okay, maybe it was nice. It was nice, people liked it. We had good feedback on the store. But did it work? And it worked very well. And why it worked very well? Because it generated one of the highest revenues per square meter at international level for the brand. So effectively, people were really shopping in the store. They were buying product physically, they were buying product online and converting. So they understood very well how the store worked, and it generated an important amount of sales. So this was a great surprise. It was well above our expectation. I think one of the elements that helped at the time is that Holland, as an internet market, is a very highly penetrated market, which means people are already into that journey of buying online and understanding multi-channel quite easily. If we had done it in Spain on the same year, I'm sure it would have been a very different result. The element that was negative, I mentioned it before, we spend a lot on the fit out because of the technology. The store itself, it's small, we did it very smart, it cost nothing. We could have opened 1,000 stores like this. But the technology was very expensive at the time. Today, we know that it would be a very different exercise. Technology is available. Many brands are doing touch screens, connected, that you can then link to your different devices. So this is something that it would be easier to do today. The second part that I think is important for us in retail is to forget a little bit about the elephant in the room. And I think the elephant in the room is Amazon. And I give one example. In the UK, one of the biggest electronic chains, Dixons, shared at a conference similar to this one 5-6 years ago. The CEO was explaining how the consumers were behaving. And he explained exactly the journey that was happening. Consumers in its stores in the UK would visit the store, would ask the questions to their shop assistants. How does this TV work? what are the benefits, what is the price, what promotions you have, and then they would leave. And they would go home, get on Amazon, check the best price, and buy it on Amazon. So not only Dixons is losing all its customers, which is not great news, but they are paying for all the showrooming for Amazon, which is even less good news. And they had two options, or to admit that they were not going to survive to the war with Amazon, or to find a new strategy to adapt to this new environment. And this is what they did, obviously. It's a good example. They decided that showrooming was welcome in their stores. Please, come have time. Come and have a coffee with us. Check the washing machine. Check the television. It's fine. We have plenty of time for you. Now, if you buy it with us, we'll give you service. We'll bring it home. We'll install it. If there's any problem, you'll call us. We'll be there on the day. We'll fix it. And we'll follow through all the process of buying and after sales, 100%, with a big smile. The result is that they started fighting Amazon, and they won the battle. Dixons has had fantastic success. You can check their results as they are a big listed company, and their like-for-like sales are growing still today in an important way. And they really managed to adapt the big physical stores into a much more omni-channel experience. And instead of taking Amazon as the big issue or the big competitor they had to fight for, they said, okay, it's one more player, let's integrate that, and let's do better in the areas that we can control. So this was a good, successful example. I think it's not that easy all the time, but obviously it shows that the market is really going into that direction. I believe we will see big transformation in the retail networks. When I was in Russia with Inditex, we opened at one point 3 stores on Nevsky Prospect from Zara. I don't think we would do that again if we had to start the expansion plan today. So thank you very much. This is what I want to share with you, and I think we have some time for questions afterwards. Thank you, Anna.
Ян, спасибо большое за широкий и действительно очень интересный обзор мировых кейсов. На самом деле все кейсы были из разных категорий товаров. Они касаются и фэшна, и мебели, и электроники. То есть трансформации действительно захватывают индустрию в целом. Ну, а теперь, когда мы начали уже говорить про ритейл, следующая очередь рассказать про девелоперов. Вначале все началось с изменений поведения потребителей, на которые должен ответить ритейл. А девелоперы торговых центров должны, соответственно, принять вызов ритейлеров. Как они изменятся и какая теперь будет роль у торговых центров. Но если сделать шаг назад и посмотреть, какими раньше были торговые центры, ну, это было просто, наверное, место шопинга. Поэтому, в том числе в Америке, уже, по-моему, 300 моллов на грани закрытия. Сегодня назначение так называемого торгового центра, оно меняется. И вообще подход девелопера тоже сильно трансформируется. Если раньше это был для нас с вами B2B бизнес, то сегодня этот бизнес становится B2B2C. Нам, девелоперам, важен ваш клиент, и мы хотим вместе с вами правильно с ним работать и коммуницировать. Поэтому те тренды, которые мы осветили как важные для индустрии ритейла, мы хотим тоже учитывать в наших концепциях и хотим вместе с вами отвечать на эти вызовы рынка. Итак, я напомню, какие были ключевые ценности современного потребителя. Время, удобство и скорость. Далее было впечатление, опыт и польза. Наконец шла персонализация всего и правильная коммуникация с потребителем и наш подход через онлайн и офлайн, который стал умниканальным. Так вот, что же мы как девелопер, который строит новый проект и запускает его через 1,5-2 года, для себя учли из этих трендов и как мы будем отвечать на эти вызовы рынка? В первую очередь мы строим наши проекты удобно для людей, там, где эти люди живут, в спальных районах, там, где живет 2,5 миллиона москвичей. Каждый 5-й москвич – наша аудитория. Мы работаем в первую очередь с пешеходной доступностью. Мы хотим, чтобы наш покупатель быстро получал то, что ему нужно. А получать он должен тот набор товаров и услуг, который востребован на ежедневной основе. И таким образом мы получим трафик, который к нам будет приходить 3 раза в неделю. Это говорит о том, что наш тенант-микс, он формируется из расчета действительно потребностей людей, живущих в спальных районах Москвы. Что касается впечатлений, как мы для себя приняли этот вызов. Во-первых, мы хотим приятно удивить архитектурой. Данный проект выполнила Аманда Левит, которая является одним из топовых архитекторов мира. И она создала действительно тот проект, после которого, я уверена, начнется трансформация самих районов и создание инфраструктуры вокруг них. Но мы хотим удивить не только правильной архитектурой и атмосферой внутри, но и теми арендаторами, которые отвечают за впечатление. Именно поэтому в проекте кинотеатр занимает 15% арендопригодной площади. Именно поэтому мы выбрали кинотеатр, который с точки зрения впечатлений и своего покупательского опыта сможет создать уникальное предложение, которое нас значительно отстроит от того, что есть на рынке. Второе и важное для нас фактически якорная функция – это категория общественного питания, food and beverage, которая тоже займет в проекте достаточно весомую площадь, это 15%. Таким образом, мы создаем в тенант-миксе те функции, которые отвечают за пожелания потребителя, чтобы их удивляли, чтобы их впечатляли и чтобы поводов для прихода к нам становилось все больше. Ну и, наконец, мы понимаем, говорим, что уже мы хотим создать не только магазины, но и магазины, вокруг которых строится определенная развлекательная программа, определенная ивент-часть, которая может быть создана как ритейлерами, так и в целом нашим проектом. Не только внутри него, но и снаружи. События для микрорайона – это отдельное направление, над которым мы серьезно работаем уже сегодня, еще когда молы даже не запущены. Что касается персональных коммуникаций, мы девелоперам, и мы себе ставим для себя цель найти способ правильного общения в рамках программ лояльности, которая строится на системе персонализированных коммуникаций с нашим потребителем. Мы хотим знать, сколько ему лет, как часто он покупает, какой у него состав семьи и портрет, извините за тавтологию, его покупательской способности. Для чего? Для того, чтобы ему предложить действительно товары нужные по лучшей цене и в тот момент, когда ему нужно. Это совершенно другой уровень общения с нашим конечным клиентом. Ну и, наконец, инфраструктура. Мы все услышали, что наш покупатель стал омниканален. Смотрит в онлайне, покупает в офлайне. И мы, как девелопер, наверное, этот самый тяжелый вызов тоже должны принять. И поэтому мы создаем инфраструктуру для работы вас, как ритейлера, по всем возможным каналам. В проекте предусмотрены пункты выдачи интернет-заказов. Мы работаем над проектом онлайн-витрины. Таким образом, коммуникация с нашим клиентом станет наиболее частой и наиболее эффективной, чтобы вы, как ритейлеры, продавали действительно намного больше и намного эффективнее. Что касается физических форматов, как вы уже поняли, мы за этим трендом особо тщательно наблюдаем и понимаем, что идет сокращение форматов. Для этого мы хотим предложить всевозможные варианты физического присутствия операторов внутри сети. Это может быть поп-ап-киоск площадью 6 квадратных метров, это может быть стандартный магазин, это может быть якорная площадка. Но мы хотим предложить ровно те условия, которые соответствуют вызовам рынка раз и вашей эффективности бизнеса два. Трансформация рынка началась, мы это видим, и мы хотим совместно с рынком предлагать то, что через 2 года будет не только востребовано, но и будет превосходить ожидания. Ожидания вас как партнеров и ожидания наших клиентов. Но на этом, скажем так, наша вводная часть закончилась, и мы будем рады, если вы зададите нам вопросы. Надеюсь, они есть. А если вопросов пока нет, но у меня есть парочка уже записанных от коллег по цеху, арендаторов, которые подошли и спросили следующее. Вот вы, Jan, so I have a question to you. Some of the colleagues from the fashion actually category asked me this question. If you guys are talking about the mini format, that this is a really nice trend and we see some examples on it, how should we produce the turnovers which will really achieve our targets on the mini format physical size? How to do our maximum better in this case? Can you please comment this question?
Yes, thank you, Anna. I think this is probably one of the key questions today, because most of retail, even from a financial reporting point of view, is still traditional. I mean, when we measure companies, one of the big elements to measure them, one of the big KPIs, is comparable sales in store. And on a separate KPI, we measure the growth on e-commerce. And obviously, we know that the challenge is this one. How do we integrate, even from a shop assistant point of view, how do we make them be motivated to sell a click and collect transaction? How do they get rewarded? So I think these are some of the very important questions that need to be answered. My personal view is that we need to think one brand, we need to think one channel and not different channels. And I don't think we can continue to measure the performance of the business the same way. And when you are using one of your stores to support a transaction, if that transaction is converted at home, effectively the contribution of the shop assistant and your investment in store help deliver that sale. And so it's really the combination of both that should be taken into consideration to see the real performance of the store. Now, it will depend on how you create your mix and the type of product in those physical locations. In the example I gave, indeed, with a very selected amount of SKUs, so very reduced versus what we had in the big store, we managed to deliver a good density of sales. And some of the products we had there had a good ticket value, so high enough to deliver density of sales. But again, this will depend from a retailer to the other. But I do believe it's possible to generate on the smaller surface good revenues for the company or for the total business. And I think it's this new way of approaching it that needs to be integrated rather than saying that store generates money.
So the different approach of achieving the results.
I believe we need to measure it a different way. You know, internet is growing at a pace of, in Russia, its year-on-year growth is 20%. So if you look at the performance of your e-commerce channel, you would expect to do plus 15, plus 18, and that would be within the market. But probably we see that in the stores is a very different story, much more difficult to grow this like-for-like basis. But there's not many retailers that would, internally or externally from a financial world, would congratulate you for delivering this fantastic growth on e-commerce, is what they expect you to do. And they will measure the like-for-like in store. And I think this will penalize your omni-channel strategy. And I think it's really about integrating these two elements and changing the way we measure the business that will help the company really think omni-channel and not just stores plus something else.
Thank you. So if someone has different questions related to this topic, если у кого-то, извините, если у кого-то есть вопросы конкретно вот к этой теме оценки товарооборотов, я призываю их тоже задать, потому что у Яны есть экспертиза, которая всем, возможно, полезна и интересна. А второй вопрос, который мне тоже передали, касается оборудования в мини-формате. So I will switch in English. The second questions we have about the equipment in the mini-format stores and the capex for this type of the stores. If it is really getting higher, if you have that much digital instruments to sell omni-channel, and how can be effective the storages within the small formats?
There's two ways to answer this. I think, first of all, to come back to what I was explaining before, I believe it will be a combination of normal stores and small stores. I think that some locations still deserve a flagship store, and people will expect to have the full experience store. I think what happens is this convenience element. The convenience is requiring that you have more locations. And I think as you show the map of Moscow with so many locations, it's very similar to the map of metro stations in Moscow. And when you look at the flow of people that go around metro stations in this city, with over 15 million inhabitants and so many people circulating every day, if I wanted to capture all this flow of people, I would love to have a store next to each metro station. Now, one of the challenges when you try to do that is that if you are some of these big format stores, and maybe not so big, it's difficult to find organized space for your locations. And we see some brands in Russia who've done it amazingly well. And I always remember the example of Sportsmaster, who had a massive network of stores in Moscow and Russia. And they had to invent somehow the destinations for retail because it was not organized. If we could find locations today where the retail space is organized, even if it's smaller, I would definitely want to capture that traffic and have people learning about the brand. And I think it's this combination that needs to happen. And all this needs to happen with a smart capex.
Again, I think from a building point of view, I think there will be bigger experts in the room than me, but I think from a technology point of view, the big change is that today, the different suppliers for technology have become much lighter. And you can use today's software that is subscription-based. You don't have to think about millions of euros or dollars of investment during a period of 5 years. I've worked with certain companies where you do integration with your systems in less than a month. And the biggest complication is to change the culture of the organization rather than the system itself. So I think today the CapEx from a technology point of view is not a concern. Of course, if we would put all the toys in the store, it would become expensive. But to make an omni-channel journey in store, today the technology is accessible at a good price. I think that's the right assumption.
And one more question about logistics. If there is a mini formats and the approach going to be different if you're comparing to if you have big 5 stores within Moscow or you have 40 or 50 small stores, how the logistic issues will be in this case and the challenges, how to answer to these questions from a retailer point of view?
And I think clearly today you want your stock to be available for when the customer demands it. And that means that in multiple spaces, as I was saying before, they can't be considered as warehouses. They have to be points of sale and of experiencing with the consumer. Click and collect is what will support your logistics network. But your stock has to be more centralized, so through big data, you can allocate it when the consumer is asking it, or as you use today algorithm, to predict what the consumer will demand in that particular location. We know that even in a city like Moscow, we will have very different types of consumers. The one that shops in Hodni Riyadh is different than the one that shops probably in Metropolis. And so these things have to be factored in. And your stock cannot be committed, cannot be allocated beforehand. And I think if we follow some of the pure e-commerce players, like Amazon, we see that the biggest focus is being into bringing those logistics close to the consumer, because there is this need of speed. And you need to be able to move your goods in a very fast way. This is something that, to finish the answer, if you compare Zara and H&M, it's been a very different element in their business model. Zara is very much into moving things fast and spending a lot on logistics, and H&M has used a more close distribution and warehousing of his goods close to destination. Today, the model that is working better is the one from Zara, because they are managing to optimize their gross margin by having the stock at the right place and not having the risk that it's oversupplied in one location and then you have to mark it down so you clear it, while it could be sold at full price in another location. And I think all these new trends in the market are just making this more fast, complex, and this convenience element that we were talking before means that you need to work on a centralized distribution center to be able to allocate almost daily or by hour, as it's happening with the example of Tesco today in London. You can call for groceries and in 1 hour they deliver home. This is what the consumer is asking us tomorrow. So your logistics and distribution has to be organized in a way that you're close to the consumer and you can provide those services close to him, but with smart data to support the distribution.
So logistic transformation as well is the next step.
It's massive, and I think if we look at the investments that Amazon has done on that area, I think it's clear where it's going, and it's both on capacity of being very close to consumer and fast, and on becoming more and more accurate to really use the very specific slots for delivery. I think Russia has a tradition of sales by catalog, and it's been a very successful country for companies like Otto. So there is tradition for this e-commerce, and I think somebody in Novosibirsk or name it Vladivostok, I think would be quite patient in saying my goods are going to arrive in 7 days. Today, if you are in a sophisticated market, people want it, they want to shop now and they want it in the afternoon. And when I look at what's happening in Moscow or some of the cities in Russia in general, it is moving very fast into that direction. And so this needs to be factored in your logistics. And indeed, yes, it is changing the way you organize it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Коллеги, есть ли еще вопросы к Яну или к нам? Мы будем рады вашим вопросам. У вас есть вопрос, да? Отлично. Представьте, пожалуйста.
Светлана Деневич, компания Modis. I have a small question to you concerning the concept of Marks and Spencer you mentioned. If it was such successful, how many stores did they open since that time? And was it also the same location, like with high traffic, historical places? Because it's a bit different in comparison to this concept we're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I love this question because the store is closed now. so it wouldn't make the point very well. But the reason why it's closed is because Marks & Spencer, in the past 15 years, has been changing back and forward their international strategy. And today, again, they have changed from investing in international, which is what we did when I was part of the team at the time, to withdrawing from international and running only franchise. And so this is part of the investment and focus on the UK. It's a very UK-centric company that does well. I mean, in Russia it does very well, but it's operated by a partner. In this case, they close it down. And to give a bit more insight into why, because the evaluation in the company was not unanimous as a successful project. And the reason why is because we were looking at the bottom line, and the investment in CapEx was really, really heavy, and it was damaging the profitability of the store. But from a revenues point of view, it was very positive. And if we would take out that technology and invest the levels that would be required today, given the new technology, it would change completely the shape of the profit and loss of the store. So there are not 1,000 of them. Maybe they should have. Thank you for the question.
Hi, I'm Evgenia, and I'm involved in international development of a Russian brand. So I would like to ask you several questions about international development. You said just now that Marks & Spencer is changing its strategy, and why is it changing? What's the strategy now, and why is it changing, as you say? And do you have any stories maybe to share how Marks & Spencer, with its British approach, was adjusting culturally to the places where it was expanding, including the Amsterdam story, probably, and we would be all interested to listen to some stories about Russia. So how the consumer behavior is different, how you were taking it into consideration, and how did you have to change or shape your approach according to the place where you were opening the stores? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you make me the question with not the easiest brand to answer. So, but it makes it probably more interesting. Marks & Spencer is a very UK-centric company. I can't tell you about the strategy today because I'm not inside the business anymore. So I can only see what I read and hear about the company and observe in stores. But it is an iconic brand in the UK, as you know. Very, very strong, with more than 20 million customers visiting the stores. So, I mean, probably nobody knows, but it's the third coffee operator in the country, just because of the traffic they have. So it's Starbucks, Costa Coffee, or the contrary, and then Marks & Spencer. So they really drive traffic. And that UK-centric approach and British heritage concept is what they brought outside. So without really adapting. And the people that adapted most the concept were the franchise partners, who were locally based in the market, obviously, know the market very well, and work harder into adapting the brand. But effectively, it could have done much better by adapting more. And I think it was a very wholesale model. I think that's what will explain it. So really pushing the product out rather than reading the market and then responding to the market. It's a very traditional retailer. I think that's a fair thing to say. And it's really, before them I worked for Zara, and it's really like working on Earth and on the moon. It's two different planets. It's very, very different. It's two different approaches. I think today you need to be on this fast fashion cycle. If it's fashion that you're looking for at internationalization, trends are global, they can't be local, and they change very fast. And so this comes back to what we were saying. Today, it's not the catwalk that generates a new trend. It's not the Milan Fashion Week. It's Instagram. It's the celebrities, it's the IT girls. These are the ones that, it's Miroslava Duma. It's these people traveling around that say, this is what you need to wear. So that makes your company need to adapt faster and to read and listen much more to what is outside. So your structure needs to be very horizontal. And I think that's what makes some brands very successful internationally and some others less. And I think in the case of M&S, the association with franchise partners is positive for them because they benefit from these people knowing the market better. And so they push the company to adapt more. So it's gone through different cycles. My experience in these years in international, I think if you have a brand and a concept, you have to be very strict with it, but you have to be very flexible with consumer. So I think it's the balance in between both. When I joined Marks & Spencer, I visit all our countries worldwide. We were in over 48 or 49 markets at the time, and every country I was visiting was a different brand. And so it's very difficult for people to recognize the brand when they go around, and that's not good for brand consistency. So you need some consistency. If you look at Zara, they will dictate exactly everything in the store all the way through, and the partner will do just the real estate and operating the people. So these are a bit the different models. With e-commerce, it becomes even more complex because then you have to decide who runs what, how you fulfill. So it makes it even more fun to go international with e-commerce.
И давайте, наверное, последний вопрос, и будем потихоньку завершать.
Добрый день, меня зовут Татьяна, я представляю ритейл фэшн акселератор. У меня такой вопрос, я задам его на русском, как бы могу перевести сама на английский, могу воспользоваться возможностью. С точки зрения распределения ролей между девелопером и ритейл-брендом, вот в том самом процессе диджитализации и таких вот дисраптив технологий, которые сейчас меняют наш рынок, как вы видите вот идеальное распределение ролей? Это касается и вопроса про капекс, тоже. И интересно вот услышать позицию DG, с точки зрения, какую позицию вы собираетесь занять?
Мы собираемся занять позицию самую, что есть, активную, потому что мы понимаем, что ритейлу нужна такая инфраструктура, чтобы просто эффективно работать. То есть если это раньше воспринималось как некоторые, скажем так, действительно вызовы, нужно, не нужно, сомнения, то сегодня сомнений уже нет, потому что мы как девелопер, мы не хотим построить просто коробочку, в которую придут, купят и уйдут, или в интернете дальше купят. Мы хотим для наших клиентов, наших B2B клиентов создать просто правильные каналы продаж, которыми вы сможете для себя в своих, в первую очередь, собственных целях правильно воспользоваться. И такая инфраструктура, это, конечно, требует времени на разработку. Более того, мы разрабатываем сегодня то, что должно быть запущено через 2 года. А может быть, через 2 года появятся еще более новые каналы реализации и продаж. Но мы понимаем просто, что это уже данность, без которой завтра у нас просто счастливо завтра на девелоперском рынке не случится. И это непростой процесс, который мы проходим, но мы видим, как сейчас уже отвечает рынок ритейла, он начинает просто больше слышать. И когда мы ездим на международные конференции, там как-то оно все проходит намного проще. Там уже почти у каждого девелопера есть пункты выдачи товаров, доставка, чуть ли не в каждый дом из торгового центра. То есть очень много создано и разработано разных сервисов для того, чтобы человека привести в физическую локацию, но за счет девелоперской инфраструктуры продать совместно больше. Поэтому мы этот вызов принимаем и разрабатываем сегодня, что будет завтра.